Hey guys, today I will be showing y'all my favorite crossbody bag pattern. I've made this so many times that I've honestly lost count. I got 5 bags in the process and I'm showing y'all 3 in the video, and I'm hoping to get them all done before my show on Saturday.
I just continue to forget to set up my camera correctly. And so once again, I have lost some footage, but you know what? We are going to keep going as I step on a clip and not my pedal. You know, in all honesty, I do actually like this tripod. I'm not loving this whole leg thing, and I only get so much range with the neck. It's honestly really sturdy, and I love the little remote that it comes with. It's really easy to lose, so you know, there's that. But like, besides that, it's pretty good. And for anyone wondering what sewing machine I use the Janome MC6650. You know, out of all the angles that I've done, it honestly feels like this is my strongest contender in terms of looking the most professional. And so the step here now is to make sure that these like sort of match. And because there's a little gap, it's sort of hard to tell, especially with this print because there's so much going on. Like, let me show y'all on this one. You can tell that these go together because, well, the bug does get cut out, but this little floral stuff here, I hope you guys can see this little detail right here. Well, maybe the bug survives just a little bit. However, it looks really good when you have it line up perfectly like that. And so because I have like 3 different pieces going, and because there's just so much of it, you want to make sure that like you get as much of the pattern together. Like this one, you can tell because there's a little skeleton right here. Again, there's going to be a gap. It's going to get cut. It's not going to be perfect. But that's just the price that you pay when you're a human that creates. Everything that you touch is going to be flawed in some kind of way. And I'm not sure if I caught it on camera earlier, but I had messed up where I had to seam rip a piece because I forgot to change my sewing foot. And for those who don't sew, whenever you sew zippers, you're supposed to change the foot so that way you can get your needle closer to the zipper part without actually like hitting it. I use nylon coil zippers, so like I'm not worried about a needle breaking. However, I do prefer to use a zipper foot just because whenever I use a normal foot, it tends to not give me an even seam allowance. And then after like I do the ironing, whenever I do the top stitching here, I typically just go back over that with my regular foot. Crazy. But yeah, no, I got this pattern off of Etsy. I will be sure to link it in the description because anytime that I have gone to craft shows, I've gotten a bunch of comments regarding the bag. And it's a really cool bag. It's not my design. And I have reached out to the author or designer to ask for permission to sell these bags at craft shows, and they were totally chill with it. You know, I just can't claim it as my own design, and I will not do that, and I won't ever do that. But yeah, because like a bag like this, if you don't change anything major about it, it's going to be very noticeable as someone's like original design. Whereas if someone is selling a pattern of like a pillowcase and it's just like a standard 14 by 14 inch pillowcase, it gets a lot muddier to say that someone copied your pattern, because know in the knitting and crocheting community that there's a lot of like repeat patterns because of, I mean, there's only so many like original ideas, if that makes any sense. But yeah, welcome to my YouTube where the angle changes every time there's a new shot. And to not repeat my last mistake, I went ahead and I changed my foot. So let's go ahead and go. There's also a chance that I'm just shaking y'all violently. I'm not sure if I'll be able to like fix that in post. We will see. I'm not the best at editing. I learned how to edit through TikTok and CapCut, so I'm not exactly very well versed in photo editing. However, I am watching a lot of YouTube videos lately on the topic, and I get very easily overwhelmed. However, I'm hoping that by continuously making videos like this, I will get better and I'll learn my style. Yeah, because I feel like I have been comparing myself to all these other YouTubers who know what they're doing and they know how to do what they want, whereas I am simply just trying to figure myself out. But here's my iron. I like it very much because it's pink, and I don't think we have... There's too much like black and gray in the world. I very much gravitate towards having color in my life, and I prefer green and yellow, but pink is a very strong contender in colors because I feel like blue is just too on the nose, you know? Because like if a guy gets anything that's blue, most people are like, oh well, he's just getting because he's a boy, or like maybe he's not, you know, comfortable. Whereas when a guy chooses to get something that's pink, it feels more genuine and actually just liking the color. And don't get me wrong, I do like the color blue. I just happen to like pink a little bit more. And oh my god, I am fogging y'all up. I'm blinding y'all. Oh no. I feel like you guys are about to get really tired of me with all the constant change, but it's like every time that I record or every time that I try something new, I do get better, and I think that's a really cool thing to experience, and I think it's worth attempting, because again, if I were to try and do this in a couple years, I wouldn't be nearly as far then as if, you know, me starting now and still, you know, being in the future. You guys know what I mean. Like if you start a degree when you're 28, you're still going to be 4 years older, you know, when you graduate, as compared to not having a degree at all. So it's better to just go ahead and do something. As you can tell, I am not very fluent with words, and I will never succeed as a podcaster. RIP. I feel like you guys are just getting shaken every single time that I go full speed. And it could be like, oh, Drake, just don't go full speed. It's like, no, I'm running a business here. I have a craft show in, like, not next weekend, but the weekend after that. And I'm a little bit nervous. I hope none of y'all get motion sick, but I don't know, guys. You know, I might just have to... Do they give medicine, like, to help, like, with, like, nausea? I know they do, but, like, I'm specifically thinking of, like, some, like... I don't know. Maybe I'm just imagining it. But, like, when someone, like, gets air sick or, like, gets motion sickness, there we go. I don't know what they give you all for motion sickness, but you should probably take it out if you're gonna watch my videos. It's like, goddamn. Alright, so I did get the fronts of these made, and I think I'm just gonna be done for the night. I have been like non-stop sewing and editing and trying to export videos, and oh my god, the first video that I have on this channel, I almost threw my computer out the window. It was so awful trying to just export the thing, and I don't know. Second one went up a lot easier because I'm actually like learning and like figuring out like how to do things. This one will probably be longer than the 6 minutes and will probably be more like vlog-like. Another difference between this video and the last couple of videos is I don't have that lapel mic on me anymore, just because it just kept dying on me even though I would charge it. However, when I use it with the desktop to do voiceovers, I've noticed that it does like a pretty decent job doing that. But honestly, this bag comes up like really fast because I think, so like what we did so far with this session is do the front. We put together the back, you know, so it goes like that. And then we also made the back panel. And so here's the back panel. So this piece will go on top of here, and then there's another piece that will basically go like, I am super bad at explaining. Okay, so you have this front piece, then you have one of these, and you sort of sandwich it like this, and then, you know, this is one piece, and then you take another one of these, and you put it on here. And mind you, the way that I'm sewing this is actually a lot different than what the instructions for the original pattern is. The way that the pattern has you do it is it makes you make the lining as a shell, and then has you do the outer as a shell. And what this does is it keeps you from having to do the bias binding on the inside. However, the way that it tells you to attach the lining to the outside, I really cannot stand because it forces me to use fabric glue, and I can't really go into the tight stitches that the instructions tell me to do. And so the way I'm doing it, it's a little bit bulkier, it takes a little bit more time, and it takes a little bit more fabric in terms of material. However, I do truly believe that it saves me the time and frustration of doing it the original way. So if you decide to buy the pattern and try it out, just know that how I'm doing it in the video is in fact a little bit different than what the designer originally had in mind. Anywho, so you have the front, you have the back, you stack it together. Then after this is back together, then you have the front and the back. And then, we have the gussets. We have not touched the gusset. We have not even touched the making of the straps or anything like that. I am probably gonna handle that later this week. So I will be wearing different pajamas, but yeah, I'll be back. Good morning, good morning. It is Monday and I work today at my full-time job. But we're gonna try and make some progress here. So before you put the other side of this on, you wanna put the zipper in. And I got these really cute skull zippers. Oh, that doesn't help actually. There we go. And so I really like these. And so that's also why I have a little bit of extra zipper right here. So that way it helps me put these on just a little bit. And then after everything is sewn together, trim it up. Sometimes I get insecure about the fact that my shots aren't the cleanest or that I'm not very cinematic, but at the same time, this is a, sewing vlog and I'm a crafter, so obviously my stuff isn't going to be very movie quality.
Hey, are you enjoying this video? It'd be really cool if you gave it a like or even a comment. I'd love to hear back from y'all. And if you really like this content, be sure to subscribe and I will hopefully keep updating y'all on my progress with Crone Fern. Alright, so now is where you're going to want to check to make sure that your top stitching caught the back of it. If it's not perfect, that's fine because again, this is just the basting stitch. Because whenever you put in the gusset, it's going to catch this outer stitching.
morning. It is a brand new day. I have Rain sitting in my lap right now because she just loves the attention. And I have taken a pause to sewing the coffin bags just because I have started to get a lot of anxiety. And I'm going to preface this with, it is very important that you change out your needle and that you use the correct needle type. And for those who are watching who don't sew or who are new to sewing, they make different needles for different kinds of like fabrics and materials. They make needles for like, stretch fabrics. They make needles for, denim, leather, and different thicknesses to like each of those. And so one thing that I have noticed is that my Janome machine is a little bit more temperamental with certain thicknesses as compared to my Brother machine. And so my Brother machine is a CPX 100. I got it for Christmas 2024. And I love that machine. I used it like every day for the past like year until like recently. And then this past Christmas, I bought myself a Janome MC 6650. To my understanding, it's like a semi-industrial quilting machine. It has a lot more space. I have done some quilting on it. The quilt did not turn out as good as I'd hoped, but it is what it is. But it's supposed to be a workhorse compared to my Brother, which I would describe it as like a pack mule. Not very fast and not very pretty, but it gets the job done. So when I spent all this money on my new Janome, I was thinking that like it would handle thicker fabrics a lot better. It would be more reliable. But I've come to find out that like it has been a challenge, and this could be due to like user error, because like one thing that I've noticed is whenever I do my makeup bags, there is there's the fleece on top of the fleece, and then where the zipper and like the nylon strap is, I have noticed that like I have had 2 instances where my needle has bent and broke, and an instance where my needle just like snapped and like flew past my eye or whatever. And I don't know if you've ever been sewing, but that is a nightmare situation to happen. And so sometimes like typically people say that you're not supposed to like push your fabric through. You're supposed to let the machine, guide it. And part of the reason why is because if you have thicker material, there is, obviously more space between the needle and where the needle has to go down into. If you push your thick fabric through, your needle will get caught on the way down into that fabric. And if you push it through, that needle is gonna bend. And then all that pressure of trying to go through all that thickness can cause it to hit something it's not supposed to hit and snap. Or that pressure is just gonna make the needle itself just snap on its own. And that was one of the problems that I had the first time. The easy fix, right? But when I stopped doing that, when I adjusted my technique, the same problem basically still happened. And so at that point, I decided to switch out my needle. And instead of using like my basic like sewing needle, I switched it out for a denim one. And denim needles are sharper and thicker than regular needles because, again, denim is a lot more durable and a lot tougher than quilting cotton. And so I switched out to that with the makeup bags. And even though I would still have some resistance in terms of sewing, I didn't have any breakages, and that was fantastic. So, and here's where this relates. These coffin bags, they're not made using fusible fleece. They're made with, I believe it's called Decaville 525. And if you've never used it, it is this like faux leather. It gives the bag a lot more sturdiness and a lot more rigidity, so that way it can actually like act like a bag. But so like I knew for a fact that I was going to have some potential issues with thickness. And so like straight out the gate, I started using the denim needle because I was anticipating to have some, resistance, and I didn't want to deal with that. And so when sewing all like the easy flat stuff, like the pockets where everything is just flat, it was fine. That worked really well for me. However, when it came to sewing the same part right here as like my makeup bags and sewing over the seams, I started experiencing a very concerning amount of resistance. Instead of the machine going straight through the fabric smoothly, it would go down, stop, make some noises, and then punch through it. That's scary. I don't like that at all. I want my machine to run like butter. And so now I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, I'm going to have to discontinue these bags. Like, the amount of anxiety that I'm getting from trying to finish this one bag is awful. It makes me just want to stop and trash this video and just never touch it again. Because the problem is the interfacing. I like using Decovil 525 because of how sturdy it is. But if it's giving me so much anxiety to where I no longer want to sew with it, then it's just, there's no point keeping it around. You know, I would rather use fusible fleece and have the bag be a little bit more saggy or a little bit more soft, not as structured, and at least have products that I'm having a good time and I'm enjoying the process of sewing, as compared to sewing something that like makes me duck and hide every time I hear a weird noise. Because here's what I got so far. You know, I got this bag, it's all made, fantastic. I had like 2 panic attacks trying to put this together. And you see all these raw edges here? I have to cut out bias binding, which is, you know, quilting cotton. But then it's gonna have to go through like 4 layers of the bias binding, because it's, you know, 1 layer, like 2 layers on this side, 2 layers on this side, on top of all these other layers, on top of the problem areas that were already giving me a heart attack. And because of that, I have just sort of taken a step back from this project and trying to rethink of how to go about it. And so one thing that this machine, my Janome, has that my brother doesn't is an adjustable pressure foot. And what that does is the pressure foot is the thing that holds down on your fabric, and the feet dogs are the ones that actually push your fabric through. The higher the pressure on your pressure foot, the harder, the more force it uses to go down to pull that fabric through. The lower the pressure, the lighter it is. So depending on the thickness of your fabric, you would want to adjust that pressure foot. I typically work around a 2.5 setting for my pressure foot, just like for regular quilting cotton. I'm not like working with organza or anything like thin, so I've never had to like adjust it that much. However, I have noticed that like I might need to actually lower the pressure foot setting for this particular interfacing. And anytime that I try to look up which setting to use for like a thicker fabric, I get mixed reviews. Some people say that, oh, you should have it up to a 3 for thicker fabric, so that way, you know, it pushes down more. I have read where you should have a lower level, like a 1 or a 0, so that way your foot doesn't put so much pressure, so that way the feed dogs can glide it a little bit smoother. And so I don't really know what to do with that. Like, I don't have any extra interfacing lying around to test this theory. So I'm going to have to like mess up one of my bags as a way to like figure this mess out, which is unfortunate. However, if it has to be done, it has to be done. Besides that, anytime that you have the resistance that I'm having, one of the smartest things you can do is to just rethread the machine. And because I'm adjusting the pressure foot setting, that's just go ahead and redo that, because one thing that you don't want to do is if you're working with a needle that's too thin and your tension is too high, and you're working again with a thicker fabric, the tension from your thread on top of the amount of force that the machine needs to do to go through the thick fabric, that could cause your needle to bend. And you don't need a whole lot of bending for a needle to snap. Those things are surprisingly frail. And going back to needle sizes, I have been using a denim needle for this whole project. It worked great for the fusible fleece. However, because I'm starting to have resistance, I will probably have to change my needle out. And this could be that I'm having the resistance because my needle just isn't sharp, or it could be because I just need to go ahead and switch to a leatherworking needle. And of course, I'll show y'all what those 3 look like to give you a better idea of why you would consider switching it out. So besides changing the needle and adjusting the pressure foot and rethreading it, another thing that you would typically want to do anytime that you're having issues with your machine is to clean out the bobbin case and just clean out like under that whole area. One thing that I do like about the Janome MC6650 compared to my brother CPX100 is that the needle plate, you don't need screws to remove that. You just press a button, it comes out, and it's just really easy access. Whereas with the brother, I'd have to get a screwdriver, unscrew it, keep track of the screws. It would just be such a hassle to where I wouldn't want to do it. And you want to make sure that your machine is clean just because all that lint and all that debris could really impact your machine. And if you're already having problems, you don't want all that nonsense getting in your way. You guys want to say hi to Rain? No? Mwah. She's been on my lap this whole time. I swear she loves me. Here she is. Anyway, say hello to my studio cat. I have another cat. His name is Vincent. He does not stay on my lap like this whenever I'm sewing. She does. She hears the camera, she hears the sewing machine, here she comes. You cannot stop her. She will supervise. All right, so I'm gonna show y'all how I clean my machine. It's a Janome MC6650. It has this button right here where you press this needle plate will come up and then you can remove it and start cleaning. So I'm gonna go ahead and press it for y'all. You see that? How it just sort of pops up? Yeah. Let me I need to adjust y'all real quick. 1 second. There we go. It is there. Thank you. Alrighty. Here is what the inside looks like, and as you can see, there's just a little bit of built-up. Honestly, it's not the worst. I've had it, but it's still something that because I am troubleshooting, I'm just gonna go ahead and clean this up. I'm not gonna be using anything fancy. I'm just gonna use this little brush that basically comes with every sewing machine ever made. If y'all don't have one of these, you could probably just get away with using a old toothbrush. I'm not very good with trying to multitask and talk to y'all at the same time and also like hold up my phone. So I hope you guys got like the rough idea of what you're supposed to do. But yeah, you wanna make sure that you please focus. There's lint on there. Trust and believe. Now, I'm not gonna say that this looks brand spanking new, but it does look a little bit better. All right, so now I'm gonna show you all how to put the needle plate back in. So you're just gonna with here, put it in. There you go. All right, so here are the different types of needles that I've been using. Here is the one that I use most consistently with fusible fleece. Same brand, I typically go for like the larger numbers. And so when I was having problems, I switched over to this jeans needle and I was using, again, the largest size, go big or go home. And then so now I'm gonna go ahead and try the leather needle. Hopefully I don't have the same problem. And here is a close-up. I realized that I haven't shared the designer with y'all. You can get this pattern off of Etsy, and I don't know how good the quality will be when I pull this out for y'all. I will be sure to link it in the description, but here it is. It's called Memoriam, and the shop is right here, I believe. Let me look at it. It is Starling Stitches Shop. I learned how to make this bag when I first started sewing. I was a very ambitious beginner. And anytime that I ran into problems, I contacted the shop, I contacted the owner, and they were absolutely fantastic. And whenever I, started selling my stuff through custom orders or at craft shows, I reached out to them, made sure it was okay, and they're totally chill. Obviously, I can distribute this pattern, or I can't claim that it was my design because, again, clearly it's not. I'm not that advanced yet. And yeah, I have had a lot of people really like this bag. And so if you want to learn how to sew, or if you want to make this kind of bag, please check out this pattern. I absolutely love it. Just because I'm having issues with the interfacing doesn't mean that I don't like making this bag. Even with the adjustments and changes that I've made, this bag still works up really, really fast. And I think that if you're past the point of making tote bags, that this is a really good first, crossbody bag to make. All right, so bad news. In the last clip, I was showing y'all, me attaching this gusset to the body. And it was going good up until I started hitting this nylon. And you can see that like on the previous rows, like it's sewn just fine. But where this seam is also going through that nylon. And I have tried to sew through it a couple of times. And reminder, I have the thickest leather needle that I have. It has put out the emergency stop every single time. And I don't feel like messing up my machine over this bag. However, that does make me a little bit upset because I basically bought fabric specifically for these bags, and I cut up all this interfacing for these bags, and at this point I'm just gonna have to trash all of it. It is unfortunate. However, I feel like that's just part of being a small business where some things that worked in the past may not work, in the future, or, this is, I feel like, purely because of the interfacing, and that is disappointing. However, moving forward, I'll just use something else. But more importantly, I'm gonna have to contact the market organizer to let her know that these coffin bags will be discontinued. Sad, but it is what it is. And what's even worse is I got so far into it, and I don't know, I'm really just sort of heartbroken about it, because like if I didn't cut out all this interfacing, if I didn't cut out all this fabric and just went through one, I would have saved a lot more resources. However, because I haven't had any problems with this in the past, like I know this pattern like the back of my hand. Like I can make this bag without even reading the instructions. So, it's not like I don't know how to do it. It's more so of I've done it so many times that like I didn't anticipate having problems, but I don't feel like this bag is worth the anxiety. And my first craft show for the year is almost a week away. It's the first weekend in March. And I feel like instead of wasting my time trying to fight my machine and trying to like force these bags through, that I will be spending my time better focusing on products that I know that I, won't throw me in a tizzy or won't like mess up with my machine. But yeah, no, I did all I could do. It's unfortunate, but I mean, it is what it is. But yeah.